I was watching the movie and I was like, this is terrible. But then once she became Catwoman and she did that first bank robbery, I was like, wait a minute now.
She woke her
She
up.
kind of
The
stirring.
extra, she was jumping back and forth, and she was kicking them in the face. She was giving you, and it was like Miss. It was like Halle Berry is an action star. Okay, like let's not forget that at the end of the day. Like she is Little Miss Kick Ass,
She was serving, and I was here
and
for
she
all
was
of it.
doing it. And it was like, where'd she learn these combat skills from? Because like Patience
Right.
Phillips didn't know any of that. She was this weak little woman, and now it was like here she is. There we go. Feeling good now.
That's right.
Hello, everybody. We are back for another episode of another relaunch. We're your hosts. I am, because Shang-Chi came out, I will be Sister Dagger this week.
Ooh, okay. And I will be Brother Saber. What's
Oh,
going
you'll be
on?
because they know I'm on for the Bob. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm great. I have been having a pretty busy week with work, but like this weekend has been super chill and relaxing, and I'm in a great mood, kicking it.
Okay.
I feel like out in LA right now we're starting to come out of the winter, so like it's not as cold
Uh,
during the day.
Congratulations for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I've been great.
Okay, well that's
How are
good.
you?
I'm doing better now.
Okay.
No, I like also just had a super busy week with work, and it was one of those things where it started very early. So let me tell you how the story goes. I go to the gym in the mornings a lot of time, and I'm in the gym. I have a really good workout. It was like a chest and arm day. I'm like feeling good. I'm like, let me go and get some breakfast before I gotta start work. Side note to understand this, my gym is located in my job, and I go upstairs. Normally, I take the steps, but it was like I'm being lazy today, so I got on the elevator. And once I get on the
I forgot.
elevator,
I forgot to let the gym.
yes. And so I'm like, okay, let me get on this elevator, go up through the lobby to like go out and go get my breakfast from this little spot that I go to. As soon as the elevator doors open up, the security guard who sits at the front desk, all I hear is, hold on, Keenan just walked in. Keenan just walked in. I was just like,
Oh, a celebrity.
I was like, oh no, that's never a good thing. Like when you walk in a room and like people are like excited to see you that you work with, something's happened. And mind you, this
Oh,
is at
that's true.
7:30 in the morning. I have to be to work at 8. So this is at 7:30 in the morning. I had 30 minutes to like go and get my breakfast, enjoy it, and like do whatever. So that happens, and immediately I'm just like, oh no. And let's just say that day led to like people being escorted out, people being terminated. It was like a lot of chaos, and
Oh,
this was like,
what a day.
yeah. Like again, like this started at 7:30 in the morning. So it's just like imagine that at 7:30 in the morning, like going for the basically the rest of the week. It set the tone for the rest of the week, and it was just kind of
Oh
like,
my.
yeah, it was just like wow. But it's like now here I am, and I'm ready to talk about some comic books because that's enjoyable in life.
I know that's right.
And so let's go ahead and get started on this week. And first up on our list is Shang-Chi, number 8. And this is from Jing Lu and Gang and Dyke Ruin. This is actually Dyke Ruin's last issue on the book altogether. He's now gone, and Marcus Toe will be coming on and joining the title, which is going to be like very exciting.
Okay.
This was like the big finale of this first arc. And I don't know. I think
He's
everybody's
still
going to
fighting
buy
everybody.
He's still fighting. Well, he's not fighting the Marvel people anymore. Now it's all of his enemies have kind of come together and they're trying to jump in. I don't know if you remember, I told you his little mutant sister that he found. She was betraying him.
Mhm.
Come to find out, it was a triple cross. She was actually working with Sister Dagger to like let everybody know, like to have everybody think she was working with the villains, and she turned on them too to like help Shang in the end. It was like great.
Okay.
It was like,
Okay,
you know, a
that's
nice
good.
little thing. I was like, I love that for her. And she was saying, you know, Sister Dagger's mad at him because he let their brother get taken away. But the mutant sister, Jylin, that's her name. She's like, oh, I don't care about that. She's like, you're still our leader. You're still my brother. Like, that's all that matters. His grandfather also pops up in this issue, who's come to take back his mother, who he's recently found. And he does, in fact, take her back to Tylo, which we were introduced in the movie, if you remember.
Yes, yes.
And
That's
and then
cool.
that's and now like
Synergy.
hey, it works sometimes. You got to take it. But now kind of moved on and we're going to the next part of the story. And I just say like this was really good. Again, I think this book has been a really interesting character study on Shang-Chi and like kind of creating that personality and making us get to know him. And it just continues to be enjoyable. The art has been consistently great. The fight scenes look good. The colors are really great. I can't recommend enough. I'd give this a 4 out of 5. I'm excited to keep reading. Like I was kind of wary. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to stick with it after this first arc, but I was like, no, I loved it. And so that's
Okay.
that. I think you know, go get it, guys. And then
Check it
next up
out,
we
y'all.
have Fantastic Four Reckoning War Alpha #1. Now you know I didn't read this, so go ahead, tell me all about it. Who is this still Dan Slott?
Yeah. So like I shouldn't have read it myself. And it was written by Dan Slott and
Mm-hmm.
art by Carlos Pacheco. And um all around this was mediocre. I'm sorry. Like um I went into this hoping to kind of maybe reignite some excitement that I have for the Fantastic Four because I do really like them. Invisible Woman is my favorite Marvel character.
Mm-hmm.
So um this had been kind of hyped as like this big event that was going to happen, and you know, Slot was going to be doing this big thing that he'd been like working on with She-Hulk this entire time. Like there was this like reckoning war that was going to come, and some 15 years in the making thing, and this was it did not give. I'm sorry. So like this this opens with remember Nick Fury has become like the unseen now, like he
Mm-hmm.
works with the Watcher. Um, the he like finds that the Badoon get these weapons from these people called the Reckoning,
Mm-hmm.
and they have these like weapons that are made from the first war, which is like this big
Mm-hmm.
war that happened with all the Watchers and stuff before they decided to like become Watchers. They were like
Okay.
before they decided to no longer help people, they used to actually help people. And one one race that they helped ended up like using their technology and becoming like the reckoning, and they were like trying to take over everybody. And so the unseen Nick Fury finds out that the reckoning were giving these weapons to the Badoon, and the Badoon go and attack Earth. And we get all of these like very corny dialogue from everyone from the
Mm-hmm.
Avengers to Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, about how like, and they're basically explaining all of their connections to the Badoon, and the New Warriors do show up because, of course, if anyone remembers before when I talked about Korvac, Korvac was actually taken by the Badoon in the future. And that's when he got turned into that robot. Well, at the time when he was fighting the Guardians of the Galaxy in the future, it was the Guardians that had Vance Astro, which
Mm-hmm.
was Justice version, like the future version of him. So the New Warriors are there, and they make a comment about, or Justice makes a comment about, like, "Oh, I'm gonna fight them in the future," and
Mm-hmm.
that's for like, so it's like a bunch of those kind of moments where
Mm-hmm.
there's a connection there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really, I didn't really feel it.
So like what's the plot of this?
So it
What's
basically
the
like
goal?
there was something that She-Hulk knew of that she was going to be a part of some like reckoning war. Like there's this
Mm-hmm.
big like reckoning war that's going to happen, and She-Hulk was going to be like the demise of like the universe or something. And
Sweet.
now now that reckoning war I guess is happening, but the reckoning
Mm-hmm.
is actually like a race of people. And there's
Okay.
just I'm assuming that just means they're going to be coming to Earth for some kind of war. I'm not sure, but that is basically it.
Okay. Um So I assume you won't be sticking with this.
No, I don't need to stick with this. No. Jack of Hearts was in it. They have a
Yes.
little moment with him and She-Hulk. They like use their powers together. I think they look cute together. Um, but
Love
again,
that.
like
I really won with that.
you did, you really did. But I don't know.
What would you rate this?
Probably like a 2.5 out of 5. Sue had some cute moments with her powers in it, but again, overall, I started reading this Fantastic Four run when it first launched because they had canceled the Fantastic Four books before, during the whole like Fox rights thing. Not only were they like not putting out a lot of Fantastic Four books, eventually they just canceled them. So like while the X books were bad, they just canceled the Fantastic Four books altogether. And when they relaunched them, I got excited for it, but like the entire run is a lot more about like the Thing than it is about the Fantastic Four. And I personally feel like if you're gonna write the four, you gotta have to like have a pretty good balance of all of them and like what all their interactions and their frustrations with each other or anything. It just needs to be balanced. And you can tell even in this, there's still a
Mhm.
lot more Ben than anything else. I mean, this is
Mhm.
even like a Fantastic Four book, and you want to write about She-Hulk and something that he did about
Hey,
She-Hulk before. So I don't know.
well,
The
that's
art
lot.
also wasn't that great.
Hmm.
There was a moment in it where it looks like there was an error because Iron Man is flying, but he's got this aura around him and he's firing
Hmm.
something, but he says, "Oh, like we X-Men like have done stuff like this before." It's like, I think that means that you should have on Sunfire instead
Oh,
of Iron Man. So like, yeah, there were some issues in the book itself.
oh, well, that's kind of unfortunate. But I mean, I don't think I expect anything else from the Fantastic Four. So, moving on.
I'm
Our
expecting
next
a
book.
lot. We can moving on when they get to that relaunch. That MCU synergy is gonna come up sooner or later, and that number one will be coming soon.
Okay. Well, until then.
Wait it out till then.
Next up is X Lives of Wolverine number 2, and that is continuing this 10-week event of Wolverine that we are on. And let me tell you, I love Logan. All right, I don't think I hide that. I'm a Wolverine fanboy, but I think I'm gonna sit this one out. And
Mm.
this feels, it's a little bit like Terminator. Wolverine is once again in the past. He has seen another dead lover of his, who he is the love of his life, who is this one is Dawkins' mother. And he's spending this time with her. Jean is like watching them have sex, and then Omega Red is, you know, possessing people.
Embodied the woman, the wife, right? Yeah.
And so now her and Wolverine are fighting, and Wolverine's like, "Oh, I can't kill her. Jean told me there would be consequences, like, Akihiro will probably never be born, blah, 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 blah." Again, I think I'm just going to sit this one out. I just feel like the story is fine. Percy's voice for Wolverine is fine.
Great art.
Great art. Joshua Cassar is like knocking out of the park. The pages look great. Like Omega Red, when he does possess these people, he looks very lethal and scary. There's a lot of stuff going on with the
Mm.
Russians and Mikhail and all that. And I'm just like, I think I can. I don't think this
Hey,
needs.
Jean fans, if you're paying attention, she's using her telepathy and going back in time.
She's not with
That's a big thing.
Cyclops.
She's now with Cyclops.
She's with her other man.
She is also in the dress, but
Shout out to her for getting a new costume. I know a lot of people were really upset about her walking around in that dress for so long. So I'm happy that she's finally out of that, so they have something else to talk about.
yeah,
That's always
glad that
fun.
everyone is able to move on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
Did you
mean,
read?
I thought it was. I did read this, and I thought it was okay. Again, I don't necessarily feel as though this doesn't feel big enough to be doing all
Mm-hmm.
of this. Does that make sense? Like you trying to go for like every other week right now, and this doesn't feel like this needs to be doing all of that. It's giving arc. It's not giving like 10 week
Like
event.
10 weeks. 10 weeks.
I'm sorry.
I
And I
don't
love
know.
Logan. I'm not a Wolverine hater. I did find him like, that they shouldn't have focused on him in the movies per se, but that's just the movies. The character
Who else was they
himself in the
focused
comics, I mean, T. They go the most popular one. So it is what it is. Um, while I personally would have loved someone else, like they gonna put their money behind the one to sell. So I I'm not a Logan hater, but this doesn't feel that necessary. It's not that it's bad. I'm just not sure if I need to keep up with it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is gonna be my last one, and I'll just like come back to it on Marvel Unlimited, and maybe like I'll just do like when I do a Logan panel or something like that, I can bring it up what happened. But
Yeah. We'll come back and do a reread. That could be fun. Maybe touch back on it later.
and that's how like some runs are. Sometimes you just got to take things all at once. That whole like week to week or month to month basis, it kind of doesn't click, and once you get it all together, this might be that for me. So we shall see. But I would rate this a 3 out of 5. I think it's fine. I think a lot of the character beats are fine. I don't really think the stuff that we're seeing Logan experience is very different from anything that he hasn't had before. There's always some dead woman who Logan loves, or there's some woman who he can't have, and he's just like, oh, I'm thinking about her. Or like he gets some type of vision of her or sees her in some type of way. It's like, okay, enough. Like, just let it go. We get it. Let the man,
And
let the
Sabertooth
man.
try to kill him.
Let the man be happy. It's fine. Give
Yeah.
him like a new girlfriend. Let him in, because it's like people trying to say the whole Jean thing. He's not even with Jean full time anymore. Just let it go. 3 out of 5.
I give it a 3.5. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed the art in it. And I do think the voices are accurate, but I don't know. I don't know if I need to keep it with this week to week. We gonna see.
And when you talk about Wolverine, you can't talk about this one either. So next up, we got Sabertooth #1. I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't read this. I personally I don't think it's for me. But did you?
I did read this, and
okay.
It was written by Victor Lavelle and art by Leonard Kirk, and it's not exactly what I expected.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to a Sabertooth mini, but I guess a Sabertooth miniseries for me, one that I would want to keep up with, again, would have had to done something a little more than this.
Okay.
And I do appreciate the story that Lavelle is telling as far as like the prison system and the parallels that you can draw from this, the literary parallels that you can draw from this into the real world. But I don't know. I don't know if I need this. This is another one that I'm like, I don't know if I need to keep up with this. Like Sabretooth, in my opinion, like it doesn't necessarily feel like they're trying to redeem him, but it does make us trying to look like we're getting into very close enough to it where I'm like, we don't even need to do this. We've kind of already done it before already with Sabretooth, and he's a bad guy. Like, let's just accept that. And it's either let's see him just doing real bad things or just shelve him forever. Like, kill him and make room for the next bad guy.
Yeah.
Or just let him be bad. I don't need to see him. I need to see him in prison and, like, trying to be kind of like, tapping into his head.
Lamenting over what he's done, in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you say you wouldn't expect this from a Sabertooth series. What would you expect?
Them leaning more into him being a killer.
Okay.
And just if it was like, I don't know, a adult series or something like that, obviously because he is fairly gruesome, but like it would literally just be more, he's a killer.
Okay. How was the art?
I wasn't really feeling it all the times.
I think because Leonard Kirk did the art for this book, right?
Yeah.
He's somebody I like. I think when I see some of his stuff, I don't know. It's kind of plain, but it's also kind of nice at the same time. I don't know if that probably doesn't make sense, but
it makes sense to me. That's kind of how I felt about it. Like it's not that it's bad, but it's like it's all right. Yeah. I mean, we do see some cool stuff. Like we touch back on when Sabretooth first went into the pit, and him looking at everybody on the council and swearing that he'd get his vengeance. And then we're basically like down into the pit, and Sabretooth is going through all of these like dream sequences basically of him killing everyone and anyone that he's ever thought about. From the X-Men to even at one point he meets up with Cypher, Doug Ramsey, and he's basically like his lawyer, and he comes to him and is like, we want to help you get out. Like, you escaped before. How did you escape? And he's like, I can't tell you how I did that, because if I did, then I can't do it again. And he ends up like killing Doug, like just killing him right there while they're having a conversation. But Doug keeps talking to him. He's like, how are you talking to me? And Sabretooth is starting to realize that like this isn't right. Doug says that, you don't have any movement of your body, you have movement of your brain, but like if we work with you, we can maybe get you like your brain at least and stuff, like get you a little more like aware.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then like you'll just be like this forever. And I think he ultimately did sign like this little contract with them, so we'll see what's going on next. Then by the end of it, like, and I couldn't tell necessarily if this dream sequences was like continuously going or how long he had been in there, because it seemed as if he like lived all these lives, and like he went out to space and went to the Starjammers and like fought people out there, and he basically became like king in this like hell zone. And then all of a sudden, while he's king sitting on this throne, we get Necra, Madison Jeffries, Oya, Melter, and Third Eye. They all like drop down into the hole, and I mean into the pit.
What the Oya
and
do?
right. He was like, I never expected to see anybody else in here, and he's still like in his like future like King Creed guard. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know how long he's been down there, or like how did he even get all that stuff, because I thought that these were like dreams. I don't know. But I don't know. I guess I wasn't that interested in finding out more right now. I mean, this might be another one where it might feel better like in trade or like all on Marvel Limited.
Okay. What would you rate this issue?
I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I'd recommend it if anyone was interested in who is a fan of Sabertooth, I guess, or if you wanted to I don't know, really just kind of get into like what Lavelle may have to say about the prison system. Yeah. But I don't know if I necessarily want to or need to keep up with this monthly. It didn't really get it. I wasn't really excited after reading it. Like, I didn't feel like, oh man, I can't wait to find out why these 5 are in the hole. I mean, in the pit.
Damn. I don't know why I keep saying. It's kind of the same thing. But shout out to Necra for making an appearance, because that's my girl. I mean, it's a shame that she had to be in jail. They put 3 black people in jail: Oya, Necra, and the Third Eye. He's a black character, right? If he's who I'm
I don't think he originally was, but he is in this.
All right, that works.
Whatever.
But yeah, shout out to Necra. Okay. And our last book of the
Grim Reaper.
Oh, Necra's my girl. I don't know if you remember during the Dark Avengers X-Men crossover Utopia whole era, there's like this one panel of Necra, Frenzy, and Bling beating up Moonstone. It is like my favorite thing in the entire world, because at the beginning of the event there are all these like mutant rallies, and Necra and Frenzy are leading one of the rallies together, and Moonstone comes and blasts them. She's like, y'all are disrupting the peace, blah 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 blah. So at the end, when there's the big brawl between the Dark Avengers and all the X-Men, they like come up and jump her, and it's like one of my favorite panels in the entire world.
I love that. We'll definitely be talking about Moonstone later.
Ooh, I like that. And then last up on our list is Daredevil Woman Without Fear #2, and this is your girl, so this is all you. Let us know.
Yeah, so this book was written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Rafael De La Torre, and This was an all right issue again for me. Like
Okay.
obviously I've realized that this series is basically just gonna be an opening of Elektra and Matt fucking
Oh.
and Elektra beating somebody's ass or like fighting for a few pages and then her talking about her past with the stick and the hand.
Oh.
That's all this has been. So like this issue opens up again with Matt and Elektra. I mean, I will say they're hot. Like
I was gonna say
it
they're a
is what
hot
it is.
couple.
They're hot. They're hot. So like it's fine. And last issue she was fighting Craven. And
Hmm.
basically he said like he was the one who had her file. He was just wanting an assassin as like a hunt for him because it was a thrill. So
Hmm.
which to me kind of feels like a kind of flimsy reason to just have a Craven versus Electra moment. Like
Hmm.
there could have been something a little better than that. So like for a few pages they just fight. And
Mm.
uh, then like they get broken up by some police officers come out and find them fighting. The cop tries to stop Electra and shoots her, but like she takes the gun away from the cop and ends up like shooting him in the leg and then runs away. And we get a little flashback of the time where she decided to go off with the hand and she decided not to try to bring Matt into the hand.
She talks about that a lot.
Yeah, they do this right. It's been like really brought up a lot in this series where I'm like, okay, we've already moved past it, and but whatever. Yeah, and then we flash back to her fight with Craven. He tells her
Hmm.
like he like dropped some hint about like where he was gonna be. She finds him later, and she's like, we can't fight out here. We're both like superheroes and or super powered people will get arrested. And he's like, no, because I was sent after you. And he pulls out his Thunderbolts badge because he was actually like a part of
Yes.
Thunderbolts. So the final issue is issue 3. I'm assuming it's just gonna be their all out fight again.
Okay. So is
And
she still not
like
doing lethal? She's still not like killing people?
yeah, she's still not killing people, and her size are like they're like baton esque, like they're not sharp.
Oh.
So yeah,
What would you rate this issue?
I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I did like the art, and I did like the fighting. The fights were cool. Electric kicking ass is always going to be dope to me. Again, it's just we've been here already. I feel like that's been the theme of the week.
Oh, comics are cyclical, baby. We'll always see it again and again and again.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
okay, well, that was
But the new girls
that.
will get in and they'll see that Elektra does fight, I guess, and she cannot be lethal. Even though, again, we've already been here before. But whatever.
But I feel like now she's moving to a place of like permanent non-lethal force.
I don't think so because I think in Elektra 100, she talks about how she's gonna go back to being lethal, and I think she's gonna be in Savage Avengers after that. And I think they give her like as Daredevil, but she has her size back, her
No,
sharp size.
we'll see.
I'm not sure if I'm interested in that Savage Avengers either
It's so
because
90s.
I wanted her to come back but just be solo. I didn't need her to be on a team. The
It's
team is
so
giving 90s.
90s. Like Cloak, Dagger, that like Hulk Wolverine thing, the like
Hmm.
Venom thing, the who else? Black Knight.
Punisher,
Like
is he on it? No.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's
Black
that
Knight.
Venom
That's what I'm thinking of.
thing.
Yeah.
Black Knight. Like
Mm.
what? That's weird. But whatever. Shout out to them.
People will buy it.
They will. And I hope it's good. And I hope they love it. But those were the
Hmm.
books of the week. Let's go ahead and take a little break and then we'll come back.
Let's do it. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the panel section of the show. And this week, I wanted to do a spotlight on a character I think I really do like, and that is Spectrum, Monica Rambeau. Um,
Okay.
you know,
She's
I
cool.
I feel like she's she's got these cool energy powers, and everybody knows I'm a big fan of those. And she's always been around, but I feel like she's never really gotten her due. So I wanted to give her a little bit of a spotlight and kind of talk about her. As everybody has already seen, probably when you watch WandaVision, the Captain Marvel movie, she's already been introduced in the MCU and is probably going to have a big like push coming up soon as they start to gear towards the Marvels. I also probably expect her to be in Secret Invasion. Um,
I can see that.
but she's played by the beautiful Tiana Paris, and who I think has been doing a pretty solid job with her within the MCU for what she's been given anyway. Um, Now, before we actually even get into Monica, let me talk about the name Captain Marvel. Okay.
Mm. Okay.
So, the name Captain Marvel actually started over at Fawcett Comics, and back in like the 30s, they had this character named Captain Marvel, and he was like hot on the streets, always selling, doing crazy numbers, actually outselling Superman at the time. Now, DC didn't like that, so they they sued Fawcett Comics and said that their character was too much close to Superman. They need to put it into it. So DC actually won that case, and so Fawcett Comics stopped creating Captain Marvel, and when the trademark ended on the name, Marvel, of course, scooped it up. So they applied
Mhm.
for the name. They owned the trademark for Captain Marvel. Fawcett Comics sold the character, Billy Batson, like all that kind of stuff from Captain Marvel to DC. So they could do whatever they wanted with him. They just couldn't call him Captain Marvel. Um, the funny part is like Fawcett Comics, in my opinion, got the last laugh because they were able to make Billy sell like crazy way more than Superman, and DC has been struggling, in my opinion, with Billy for
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
I don't know how long. I mean,
Shazam just doesn't click the same.
he had a hit movie, I think, right? Like it wasn't a flop, but it just
I think
didn't.
like
He didn't have
comic
that comics
Shazam
in.
is not like. I think when you looked at it before and you look at the whole Fawcett comic situation, it's like this was their character, this was their Superman. Once you
Hmm.
integrated Billy into DC, he's just like the less powerful Superman now. So it's like, okay, I mean he's got magic
Well,
sometimes, but it's just
he's
like,
got magic, right?
he doesn't actually like really do anything with the magic. It just makes him stronger. He uses it in like his little ways to be fast and be Superman like. It's like
Hmm.
who cares?
And in my opinion, the him saying his name being his like secret word is weird.
Having this little boy, I think DC Flashpoint actually did that really well when they had him be Shazam fighting Wonder Woman and then he like turned back into a kid and then she just killed him because it's like, oh, you're just a child. Like I think like I get what they try and do with the whole that like kid turns into the adult thing, but like I think it's a weird kind of situation that you always have at the end of the day. What is like essentially a 10-year-old running around with these 40-year-olds.
You're right. So whatever. While he was over there flopping, they took the name Captain Marvel back, and they gave it. They had him with the original Kree Marvel, how they launched that character. Most people know the original male Captain Marvel. After he died, Carol took over the name of Captain Marvel. Now, between that time, of course, after they killed uh, Marvel, they needed to keep the trademark. So they created, while they were in the process of creating Monica, they were going to give her a different name, but they needed to keep the trademark for Captain Marvel. So they just named her Captain Marvel. In universe, what happened was after she got her powers, she, like, the media started calling her Captain Marvel because they just
Mm,
saw somebody with flashy powers. Um,
she's a
Now,
Marvel.
exactly. Now, Monica is from New Orleans. That's mostly where she's like her base of operations. And yes, before y'all start, yes, she is a cop. She is a she is a detective.
But when my fave flashes his badge,
I'm just
it's
saying,
a problem.
before y'all start, yes, she is a cop.
It's crazy.
And while she was doing like detective work, she like was exposed to dimensional energy, and that's how she like got her powers. Now, personally, when you hear that, do you feel like that's what they're trying to like hint at in the MCU, or do you think that like she may have gotten her powers somewhere else? Because in the comics, she was exploring this extra dimensional energy because it was going to be turned into a weapon, and like she was being a detective around it, and then like there was an accident, and that's how she got her powers. Do you think that that's like the parallel they're pulling from in like WandaVision? Like she was
She was
exploring.
in like a weird, different kind of energy, and it just activated, or like that's what it. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I could see that, but I don't know if I like it being tied so much to Wanda.
that's exactly what I don't want. I don't want it to be tied to the lady at
Yeah,
all. Um, so I hope that like maybe they were just hinting that there was
not that
something
lady.
already. I hope that they have something that was hinted at already there, and I don't know. Maybe we can still get back to like the more comic accurate that it was just some random accident. That's how she got her
Yeah.
powers. But anyway, the media started calling her Captain Marvel. The Thing told her that like, oh, Marvel actually died, but like he probably wouldn't care about you keeping the name. Like it's cool. So she just on being called Captain Marvel. She joins the Avengers. Most of her like main villains actually were Moonstone and Blackout. Blackout is a dark force similar to like Dark Star. He can kind of do the same things, which I personally feel like are two perfect villains for her, which
Yeah,
is
agreed.
Moonstone who can phase and like has these like energy blasts and something, and a Blackout who can. Her biggest drawback to her powers is she can't, since she is light. If you have some kind of opaque darkness, she can't like go through it. So she's stuck, which I think is always interesting to see when you have a character who is this powerful. She does have some weaknesses.
Because
And speaking,
this
oh yeah,
was in like her. She had a solo as Captain Marvel, right?
no,
Oh, she didn't.
she's never had a solo
I
before.
feel like, or maybe I'm just thinking of like her on a cover and it just says Captain Marvel. I always feel like there's this image of Monica in my head. It's like a brown cover. She's like kind of flying up and it just says Captain Marvel above her.
So that is just a collection of all of her like
Oh.
moments as
Oh.
Captain Marvel, as Captain Marvel.
Oh,
But she
my bad.
herself actually has never had
Solo run.
a solo run as Captain Marvel. No.
She just led the Avengers.
Yes. She actually never had a solo series. So let's kind of fix that, Marvel. That's kind of a shame that she was the first black female Avenger, but she's never and led the team. She's never had a solo
Yeah.
series.
Which, honestly, I feel like Monica, and just not to hijack this convo, but I feel like Monica and the Avengers, that relationship has gotten so odd. I feel like we're kind of always reliving that. Well, she used to lead the team in the '80s and blah blah blah, and they tried it again during Mighty Avengers, but even that, I feel like it didn't hit the same because I still felt a little bit more like Luke's team. And but I feel like her relationship with the Avengers and like that whole she led the Avengers thing, it doesn't carry that same weight anymore. There have been so many Avengers teams now and so many Avengers leaders, and I think when you look at certain people, they've also kind of surpassed her. I think of Luke Cage, Rogue, Sunspot, Sam. Shout out to the black guys. They are, like they're a lot of the people who you kind of think of as like some of the top Avengers with those top moments now. And Monica, I feel like she's lost her place amongst the team a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's just because she wasn't being used a lot during a lot of that time. After she led the Avengers, she kind of lost her powers for a bit because they can never let a girl be powerful for too long before you can.
So, you know how that goes. You gotta die,
gotta
you
give her
gotta
the
get
depower.
depowered. Which one you want?
So she got depowered. What happened was she used her powers in water. Like I think she tried to turn into electricity, and when she was in water, like she ended up like spreading out all across the water and wasn't really able to like pull herself back together. And when she did finally do that, her body was like beaten down and she lost her powers. She later gained them back when she went out into space and she was with Jack of Hearts and Quasar. He like
He's
made this
everywhere.
team of people. Yeah, right. He does have a lot of stuff with Quasar. I didn't know they were like in space a lot together. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, she was out there in space, which I think actually fits her very
Mhm.
well. While she was on this team with them, she was actually able to like really do a lot of stuff. Living Lightning was out there with them. The two of them actually like are pretty good friends. Um, they were able to like kind of use their powers to their full kind of scope. So I think there needs to just be a space in space for her.
Yeah. Um, I guess what like do you see her space being now? In space, if
You
she was
know,
to have one.
so around that time, she was just a part of that like kind of space team. That's kind of where I see her. I don't see her as ever really coming back to, oh, you were the leader of the Avengers, because kind of like you said, I think it's time to move past that.
Mhm.
And not only is it time for her to move past that, the Avengers themselves have already kind of moved past that.
Mhm.
So I think that now her relationship with the Avengers should just be like, you know, the
That
powerful
team she used
girl
to be on.
or that team she used to be on. Like if they need her to come around for something or whatever, sure. But like that's not her like home base. I think she does need to have like a kind of a space team. Whether that's the Ultimates, that would be great, obviously. But like even that would feel like Blue Marvel's team. So maybe she would just need something more like of her own.
Hmm.
I would love for her. I would have assumed that they would do the whole MCU synergy thing and make her probably like director of Sword. But
Yeah.
Sword now is a part of like the X line and the X-Men, so
Yeah.
not really sure
Do
what she.
you? I think I could see her kind of like falling in between. I'm sure you remember that Captain Marvel run that was written by I want to say Fazekas and Butters. It was two women, and it
Mhm.
kind of had her when she first redid Alpha Flight, and it was
Yes.
like space program, and she was like in there. I could see Monica doing something similar to that, which is like
Yeah.
still different from Sword in that aspect. But I think with
That's exactly the
her,
kind of role I would give her. It's just I don't know where that exists right now
I was
because
about
they
to say,
never
I
do it
guess
too
with
much.
her, I just feel like, do you think? I think a big thing about Monica is that you want to see her use her powers. I feel like that kind of role takes a back seat to that, and I don't
Mm.
know if you see her out in the field as much then.
Right. Yeah. That director kind of person never really goes out there and does the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that honestly, that's why you should probably just give her a solo and just let her be a solo space hero. You know,
That would work too.
they she can out there
So,
be her detective self and still use her powers.
what would you say like are some of your favorite Monica runs?
She doesn't really have many, honestly. I would say like my favorite Monica appearances have been like, because like, again, she doesn't really have any runs because she's never had any. But
And when
I
I
would,
say runs, I mean like stories of books that she's been in.
oh, I really loved her in. I know I'm biased to it because it's one of my favorite Marvel events, but her in Operation Galactic Storm was fantastic. Um, while she was over there, she was the one who led the team on the Shi'ar side. The story
Mm-hmm.
of the Operation Galactic Storm is the Kree versus Shi'ar, and she was the leader of the team who went to the Shi'ar to kind of stop them from causing a bomb. Granted, she
Mm-hmm.
got there in enough time to kind of convince them to stop it, but like Lalandra was like, "Whatever, girl, it's already gonna happen," and the
Yeah.
bomb went off anyway. But I really loved her in that. Usually like events. I loved her in Maximum Security, which was an event where all the space kind of people looked at Earth
Mm-hmm.
like the ghetto and they were like, this is now just a prison planet. Like,
Yeah.
drop your prisoners off here. We don't even care about. So like all these heroes and stuff were going about their day and all of a sudden a random space villain would just appear and they found out that Earth was being looked at as a prison now for across space. That was really cool. She did have this one moment where she got to race all the other speedsters throughout the Marvel universe, which I thought was
Hmm.
cool. But they told her that she can only use her powers in her light form. Um,
Okay.
so they told her that like you have to at least touch the ground. Like you can't like fly the whole time. You have to touch the ground like every so often or you'll get disqualified. She ended up not winning.
Mm.
Let me, the person who won was the Flash. Like there was a random entry who came in who didn't know where he was from, and he looked had the exact same
Just
Flash
like the
colors,
Flash.
just like the Flash, and he won the race. Because of course, no one's faster than the Flash.
Ugh,
Um,
don't you hate it?
yeah, right. I also really love her in the Ultimates,
Mhm.
mostly the Ultimates too. But I really loved her in the Ultimates. I think if anything, she should no longer be like a tied to the Avengers like that. She should have a
Mhm.
solo book, and like her attached team should be the Ultimates.
Okay. When it
Yeah.
comes to Monica, because I feel like again we talked about Monica as a very powerful character. She could sometimes, in my opinion, veer into almost overpowered a little
Mm,
bit. I think a really good example of someone toning that down was Ao Ewing during his Ultimates. He like had her doing stuff with her powers that was extremely powerful, but it made sense for how she did it, and especially the people that she was fighting against. Do you have a preference of your Monica? Do you kind of like her when she is able to be like her full, complete, powerful self, but still like within have a reason to be that way? Or I think of something like that Avengers No Way Home, which depowered her, so she wasn't like the living light anymore. She was just blasting and doing some things like that.
I'm personally a fan of the Living Light, Monica. I
Mm-hmm.
find it very interesting for her to be like this energy being, and her being able to kind of explore what that means for her and her powers and being out there to use them. My favorite moments when you have a character who is as powerful as she is how they use their powers, because we know that you can like do all this crazy stuff, but I want to know why you did it and like how you got there. So like her facing someone like a Blackout who has Dark Force powers, she should be
Yeah,
able to use the full gambit of her abilities because she has to.
yeah,
Because what is she going to do against someone who has powers that oppositely affect her? Or if she's against anyone, I like to see her say, oh, I can't use this energy form. I need to go into the other energy form or something because this will help combat them or something. So any kind
yeah.
of peek into her decisions on why she did whatever with her powers are way more better. Are better to me than depowering her to just make her like more accessible to someone on a street level.
Okay. Who do you want writing Monica?
Um, you know, I
That's
haven't
not
really
Kelly
thought about.
Thompson.
I know. I actually wouldn't give it to Kelly. I would honestly probably give it to Stephanie Williams. She's been
Okay.
doing some really cool stuff over at DC with Nubia.
Mm-hmm.
And while I may not be like super into Nubia being like super perfect or whatever, I do appreciate the fact that we get to see her making the decisions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how talking about on this show, y'all, with Storm, like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Storm was boring until she became the regent. Like now we get to see her like, but I want to see her like make the regent moves and like make those decisions. I think
Yeah.
that like um Stephanie is doing kind of those kind of things with Nubia. So I would love to
Mm-hmm.
see that kind of done with
With
Monica.
Monica.
When you
Okay.
have a character who is that powerful, like I want to see it inside your head why you're making the decisions you're making. Like what are you doing? So
I
I
can
think that
see
should
that.
be dope.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that'd be dope. I mean, she's had some pretty great moments. She was in the Mighty Avengers, which was really fun, by Al Ewing. Again, has kind of suffered a bit from being, unfortunately, kind of like a joke because I think people find it kind of funny that she didn't have a code name for a while. Because after
Yeah.
she was Captain Marvel, Guinnessville, who is Marvel's son, he came back and started calling himself Captain Marvel because he was calling himself that after his dad. And Monica was like, I feel like I should be called it, but whatever, it's your dad. Like, you have way more of a connection to it than I do. I'll call myself something else. So she went by Photon. And then later, when Kenneth Savell, of course, was going through the whole thing of, I no longer want to be in my dad's shadow. I want to be in my own character. He changed his name to Photon. And um,
Mm.
Monica again said, it's fine. Like you can keep this name. I found something that's better for myself. And she went by Pulsar for a bit. Um,
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't really like that one either. I personally like Spectrum. She started going by that
Agreed.
in, I think, 2013, 2012, 2013.
Hmm.
And I think that's a perfect name for her. It fits her powers, it fits her. Um,
Yeah.
and it separates her from a lot of the other characters. The one thing I never really want for her is to always be put back into the shadow of the name Captain Marvel. She
Mm.
doesn't have any connection to like the Kree or anything like that. Like where, and I would also hate for her to have to go through the things that like Carol kind of has to go through because of her connections to. She doesn't have to
The
go through
name.
them, but like her connections to the name. Like people are always bringing up Shazam, Captain Marvel, or Marvel to Carol. Like, oh, that's not the
Like
original
how
Captain
she's not the
Marvel.
real Captain Marvel and blah blah
Right,
blah. Yeah, no, I get it.
right. I don't think that that'd be fair to be going that for Monica. Like, oh,
Because it's gonna
you're
be
not
a
the real
tenfold
Captain
on
Marvel.
Monica. She a black woman too.
She a black woman.
Child.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't want. I don't want that for her. So I want like, and I personally feel like she can stand on her own. Like
Yeah.
she could be her own character. And I think like, I think when people be calling her Captain Marvel, I think they just don't like Carol. Like because, which is fine. Just say that. You don't got to give like Monica like putting her in the shadow of somebody else.
Yeah.
It's, I don't think she can be her own character. I think she's great by herself.
Agreed.
Yeah. So we'll see what's happening next with her. You know how Marvel is. Like that MCU
Again,
synergy will probably.
the synergy should definitely pop in for her, and she should get a little push. I just think it'll be interesting to see where the push actually happens. If it brings the
Hmm.
Ultimates back, I'll also be okay with that. But it depends on who's writing.
Ooh, that's true. I don't know. We'll have to do a little Ultimates panel or something to talk about that and who we want on the team because I don't know who I want to write that.
Mhm.
um. So yeah, that's just my little spotlight on Monica Rambeau, aka Spectrum. Definitely let me know what you guys think of her if you're a fan of hers in the comics or the MCU. And let's take a break and then we'll come right back.
Cool. All right, all right, all right. We are back again for another rewatch, and we did our first rewatch of the new year, and starting off Black History Month, and it is a certified, bona fide, absolutely magnanimous classic, the one and only Catwoman of 2004, starring the
Yes,
illustrious Halle Berry.
Queen.
So
What a
first of all,
movie.
before we even get like fully into the movie, let me say, this movie was directed by Pitoff, and he got an all-star cast to come along here. Okay, not only do we have Halle Berry,
Hmm.
but we have Benjamin Bratt, Francis Conroy, Sharon Stone. She's beautiful. Like
Yes.
she like we gonna get into Laurel, but she did that. Lambert Wilson, Alex Bornstein. It was just like a lot of fun people in this movie. And one thing that I will always appreciate for it is that it tried to do something different. So for those who don't know, Catwoman is Selena Kyle. I actually hope most people know that. But
Right,
in,
right. Do you
in
think
this
most
movie,
people know that?
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like people know that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and I feel like Bruce
Mhm.
Wayne dates Selena Kyle.
Mm. Or
Like that's
Catwoman.
yes, Cat, but I feel like it's like she's not Catwoman like when she's not in her suit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's just like
But do they
yeah,
know her name is Selena?
yeah. I feel like they do.
They should.
I mean, I don't. I just feel like I don't know.
Let us
It's a
know. Do you
thing.
if let us know people out there listening, like if you think of Catwoman, do you always think of Selena or do you just think Catwoman?
I think it's Selena, but whatever. Um, in this movie, they actually go the complete opposite route. It's not Selena. It's an original character named Patience. What's her name? Patience Phillips. And she ends up coming across this like very sinister plot for this
Oh my god.
for the beauty company that she works
So
for,
bad.
and like she's like running through the pipes of this like building later on, and they release this water, and she like dies. And then after she dies, there was this cat that she found earlier in the movie that was like standing up on this. She went out on her ledge to go and get this cat off this wall. Almost died and killed herself nonetheless. But you know, this cat apparently was testing her. It is a reincarnation of Bast. It gives her second life and it rebirths her with all these abilities. And we learn later on in the movie that Catwoman is a mantle that has like been passed along through time of people who have been like blessed by these cats and like all this stuff. And I will say I thought that was pretty cool. Like
it was interesting.
I
a cool mantle.
I love, like, as a Moon Knight fan, I'm like a very big fan of the whole avatar of a god trope. So it's like, you know, something that's you've kind of been given the second life. This god is with these abilities, like this whole mythological aspect. I love Egyptian culture. You know, I think all of that was like really cool. And I will appreciate this narrative for always attempting something different. Like, I will give it that. Okay.
Yeah.
The execution of that could have been a little bit better. However, we'll talk about that.
I thought the way that she heard like cat senses and stuff, I thought that was kind of cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it that.
That first fight she had when she was when she was like with the bank robbers.
Okay, that was a serve, I will say.
Like, let's give her a thing.
When I was watching this, I was like, thing. Now, this is actually not that bad. Actually, that's when I was watching the movie and I was like, you know, this is terrible. But then once she became Catwoman and she did that first bank robbery, I was like, wait a minute now.
She woke up.
You kind of stirring.
She was jumping back and forth and she was kicking them in the face. She was giving you, and it was like Halle Berry is an action star. Okay, like let's not forget that at the end of the day. Like she is Little Miss Kick-Ass.
She was serving. And I was here for all of it.
And it was like, where'd she learn these combat skills from? Because like Patience Phillips didn't know any of that. She was this weak little woman, and now I was like, here she is doing the biggest martial arts. But I was like, whatever, I'm gonna go with it because like Halle Berry in her heels, like specifically in her heels. And you know, let me say that is one thing I will also say about this movie. There was kind of like this underlying tone and theme just about like women in general, and finding confidence and like owning that confidence and like your beauty and like your sexiness and all of that stuff. You know, one thing about Patience Phillips is that she's kind of meek and she's seen around the office as this quiet girl. She's got straggly hair. She doesn't really dress. You know, she meets this guy who like still sees her, but like after she kind of becomes Catwoman, we see her chop all of her hair off. She's walking a little bit differently. She's got like this little sexy slant she's got. And she's just owning stuff more. She's more outspoken. She's like letting her voice be heard. She cusses her boss out, which eventually gets her fired. But you know, everybody's cheering at the end of it because the guy's a jerk. But it was like,
right. But I was like, y'all not gonna ride with her?
Okay, like y'all sitting here clapping like, no. Oh, let's hope you clean out your desk.
Okay. Rude.
That was a mess. And I think like that is something that kind of carries over into this movie that I think was like really cool. You know, I think that actually relates to a lot of things today. I think of pop star Chloe Bailey and like, you know, how she's kind of become this like young girl who is accepting her body and like she's finding more like just joy in showing that and like finding that confidence within herself. There are a lot of parallels that I think you can really join or like grab from this movie. So shout out to them for that.
I also appreciated the moment when they brought up when the woman who was kind of like, I don't know what you would call her, like the overseer, I guess, of all the cat history. And she told them how, or Prudence asked, oh, how do you know all this stuff? And she was like, you know, I was a professor for 20 years until I tried to make tenure, but there was all the men who stopped me. And I was like, now see. So I appreciated the very real like feminist moments that they were kind of putting into the movie too, that I noticed more so now than I did when I first
in 2004.
I mean, I've watched it. I've tried to watch it a couple times after that because, you know, we love a girl kicking ass. We love a hot.
And speaking of high, okay, so when she like fully comes into like Catwoman, she has that first like walkout scene in her new suit, and she's got her toes out, and they are painted red.
Baby.
Like
she ate.
I loved it. I
I mean, that
absolutely
was.
loved
Let's
it.
be honest here. The point of that movie was to see Halle Berry as Catwoman. Like
Yes, in her
the plot
level.
didn't make no sense. We just really wanted to see you be Catwoman.
Like, okay, so when we get back to this like beauty brand that she worked for, and it was like this face cream that is like giving this woman diamond hard skin. And first of all, Sharon Stone in white diamond hard skin.
Hello.
If this movie came out today, they'd be like Emma Frost.
Yeah.
Okay. Emma Frost. But like Sharon Stone was serving as a villain. Like she was great. That first scene where she appears and they're like announcing how she's no longer the face of the company and it's the new girl, and she starts cutting up and like being messy and talking about like, oh, she can't even go out for drinks. I was like, yeah, she's having fun with this. And the final fight that her and Halle have, it's good. I'm sorry.
It was not.
It was good. It
It was.
was everything. That scene where like she was laying on the ground and the glass is like falling and Hallie's walking over thinking that she's knocked her out and she grabs a piece of glass and stabs her in that leg. Got her.
Halle
Hot.
scream. Halle scream.
The scream, and it was like
Halle scream afterwards. It kills me. I have to say, like everybody, if you've noticed me and like the things that I'm into, like I don't really like cringe. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't really like I don't really like corny. Like and like or camp. And camp to me can be very like cringy. So like at least with this time for me, like the campy moments were just funny now. Like I think previously when I was younger, I would have been like, ugh, this is too like campy. I'm not into it. But like now it's just ridiculous.
The club scene where she
Like,
was
what
like
is she doing?
whipping around with her whip. I loved it. I
So,
loved it.
so bad.
Like and it's
That's
like
why.
so crazy because it's like no one's looking at this woman in this cat suit and wondering what is going on. She's just like she just came out of nowhere because it's like we're not at a costume party or anything.
No.
Like everyone is dressed in their regular clothes. Like we drinking, we partying, we dancing, and here's this woman in this like cat mask with a whip, and she's like, and it's not even like she's just swinging it around. She's hitting people with it.
Yeah.
Like she knocked somebody down.
Ridiculous.
Like she knocked somebody down. And it's just like, what's going on? No one thinks this is a problem. But it was like also that fight scene that she had right after with that dude, that was given.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was. But she kicked him out that door.
Oh my God. I've noticed in this movie, a lot of times in the action scenes, they don't ever do like single shots. It's just a bunch of quick takes.
Quick cuts. And they are just moving. I'm sorry. It was good. It was everything. She was kicking ass.
You gotta give it. She was flipping around. It was fun.
She was flipping on those little ropes. I think that was actually probably my favorite part. No. That's a lie. My favorite part of the movie was after she went to go and like confront the boss, Hader, at the ballet, and then she like runs to the back and her and Benjamin Bratt's character start having their little fight.
First of all, before we got to that ballet, homegirl, the Sharon Stone, like Catwoman went to her and was like, I need to find your husband. And he was like, oh, she's not here. He's probably out. I was like, girl, you know where he at? You just know he cheating on you?
She's done this entire movie. That's why she was going over Drina like that. Every time like Drina popped up, it was like, oh, that little hoe. Because she knew what it was. They'd be like, oh, your husband said he's got a business meeting. She's like, I know he's taking Drina somewhere. She saw them get in the car.
A
Like,
shame.
but like but that's the thing. You know, me and you, we might joke about whole like finding our millionaire men, but like that is the crux of that. Once you get them, you gotta shut up.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta be completely quiet. If you see it, you can't say nothing. Cause guess what you won't be getting?
Not none of that money no more.
Okay.
Okay. You trying to go back to your 1-bedroom apartment? Okay.
Never.
No. Eating cereal in the morning? All day, every day? No.
You just gotta be quiet and you gotta deal with it. Maybe, hopefully, you're sneaky enough to get a little something on the side of your
On
own.
the side. If you were smart,
Right.
bitch, you would.
And unfortunately, Miss Laurel Hader was not. She was sitting in the house, mad and upset, and Catwoman busts in there. And that was also the other thing. Like, girl, Catwoman just busted in your house. What's up?
like what? And then she pushed her off those steps and they tumble down and fall.
And it was like, oh, okay. And it was like, and then also when you think about it from Catwoman's perspective, it's like, did you not realize that she wasn't hurt by not falling off anything like that? Like her diamond hard skin isn't affecting you any.
Right.
That was a good scene. They were good together though. And so when the twist comes around and we find out that Laurel has actually killed her husband and she is actually behind this giant plot and all the things that are going on, her and Catwoman run after each other. They fight. Catwoman eventually gets the upper hand and she knocks her off of this tower that they've been fighting in, and Miss Laurel falls to her death.
Oh my God, the fall.
The fall.
the obvious body. The obvious fake body that they dropped from a ceiling is hilarious to watch.
It's just flailing all over the place. There's no rhyme. They couldn't even give you a soundtrack of her screaming or something, or a voiceover. It was just no, you just see this thing flailing, free falling to the ground. And it is so funny.
And then she hits the ground and poses. There's no splat. She fell from very high.
She had diamond hard skin.
Why wasn't there? Okay, well then why wouldn't the ground break then?
I guess her skin was stronger. You've seen Emma Frost jump off a cliff.
Yeah, but when she lands, there would have been a broken ground. She just landed. She looked like she was already on the ground and just fell over.
Man,
not that she just fell from I don't know how many stories in the air.
It looked like it hurt. For sure, it definitely looked like it hurt. But then we come back. Benjamin Bratt, he tells Halle Berry, get out of here. I'll make sure you're safe. And then we get to the end of the movie, and she's just found this newfound confidence. She once again kind of stands him up from the date, because they were supposed to go on the date before, but she died. So it's here we are now. And she's just I can't date you. I'm out here doing my thing. And we get this real nice, sexy, slinky
I'm a
walk.
free woman. I know that's right.
She was I found my confidence. I got my voice. I am who I am. My toes are out. My mask is on. I'm Catwoman. Which, now when you think about it, I wonder if the previous mantle holders of the Catwoman title, did they also become really sexy?
Maybe that's just a part of the thing. You just also
for your time, obviously that gave her some new personality traits and boosted all of that stuff. But it's did it do the same for the others? Did they also get these heightened senses of aggression and sexiness? And where, if you were the Catwoman of, I don't know, ancient Egypt, what was your loincloth looking like?
You probably, showed an ankle. Stepped out on the girls with your new sandal.
I need it. I will also say, despite the craziness of this movie, I love that Halle Berry also kind of looks at it and laughs. I don't know if you've seen her Twitter or anything like that, but
I follow her. She's great.
Fantastic online.
She's fantastic on Twitter. Yeah.
But she makes a lot of emphasis to this movie, and she jokes about she knows it was bad and she knows it has its problems, and how people say they love it now. She'll be where were you back then? And it's we were too young.
Right. I couldn't defend you then, girl. I was 13.
I'm sorry. But I'm glad that we can also all kind of look back on this movie and appreciate the ridiculousness of it and just laugh.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you really have to take it as it is what it is. It's a new character. I think people may have walked in expecting Selena. I think at the time, I know I was. But you really have to look at this as just it's his own separate kind of project.
And it's
DC kind of always does that. So
yeah, it's the multiverse. DC excels in the multiverse, which is crazy that they let Marvel beat them to it.
Ain't that wild?
Child. Which also, it's you could bring Miss Patience Phillips back for a little movie if you want to. Tap into it, let her do her thing and kind of give Halle a chance to redeem herself in the role. Because again, also I think it's dope that this was a black-led superhero film by a black woman.
It really was, yeah. You know what? Let's give her that.
They like bank that off of her. Like, go off, girl. You're famous. You know? So it's they should do it for Zoe too. Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, maybe like a team up movie with the both of them.
They get the multiverse in there.
That would be cute.
That's
Do
hot.
you think that they should do something like that in the comics, like bringing this version of a Catwoman in?
So
Or do
like
you think it's messy?
I go back and forth with that because like yes, I do think that again, I think that whole lore and the like it's tying into Egyptian myth and like bats and all that stuff, I think that's very cool. However, I think who Catwoman is in the comics, introducing that like creates just an entirely new character that you should just like make it something on its own.
Mm.
I feel like Catwoman in the comics is Selena Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you kind of go into like the Egyptian territory and all that stuff and the added powers and being the avatar of a god, like that's not Selena Kyle. That's not the Catwoman that we know or familiar with. I think just give it a new name and make it a new character.
Yeah.
But I would like to see.
That'd be cool. Probably can't name her Catwoman, but name her something.
She could be, I don't know, Cat's Eye. I think that's a Marvel character, actually. She's a Hellion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
they can come with something.
Things be overlapping. It's fine.
It's plenty of it's like 8 Captain Americas.
It's 20 Captain Marvels across multiple.
Truly, yeah. So they probably don't want to do that because Selena might end up getting outshined.
That would never happen.
You don't think Miss Prudence will end up taking her spot?
No. From Selena Kyle?
Patience. I don't know why I want to call her Prudence.
So I heard when you said Prudence one time before, and I was like, who is he talking about?
I don't know why you call her Prudence.
But I was like, I'm pretty sure he means patience, but I was like, I'm just going to let it ride. It's fine. I was like, I know he's talking.
I don't know why I think of Prudence. I think that just makes me think of what they were trying to get from her.
It was like the hair was very like scraggly. She wore those like big sweaters. They wanted you to feel like she was like, but it's like also awkward because it's like I'm still looking at Halle Berry.
Right.
And it's like I know she bad, but when she cut that hair off, that wasn't a good shortcut for her.
You like that?
Up a little bit. Like it very much gave. Oh, I did this myself with a pair of scissors.
You like her little swoop bang pixie cut?
Oh, that was not.
That was a product of.
It was crazy because like when she walks into Alice Borstein's character, she's like, "Oh, look at your hair, it looks so good." I was like, "Ugh."
That was the product of the time. I think all the girls had that back then.
And it wasn't good then.
What would you rate this movie? What would you have given it back then? What would you give it now?
Out of 5?
Yes.
Back then, back then I would have given it a 1. Yeah, maybe a 0, but I would have like given it that. Now I'll give it like a 2.5.
Okay.
Because like I can find the humor in it. I can see the campiness in it. I can get the vibe of what they're going for. Again, I said I really do think the lore thing was cool. I think there are like some underlying themes about just like women and feminism and all of that are in there that you can still kind of pull from. I think there were a lot of scenes that Halle seemed like she was having a good time in, and like that's cool. Her and Benjamin Bratt are hot, so I feel like they had like decent enough chemistry. But the movie itself, like.
I just thought about her getting stabbed in the leg with that. Oh my god, her scream was truly ridiculous.
Like when I tell you, I went back and I watched that scene like 4 more times because it's like so fun. If you guys follow us on another relaunch, I actually posted a clip of that specific scene when she stabs her in the leg. You can go back there and find the Twitter thread where we do, and just a laugh. It's like it's great.
Just laugh.
And it's like and it's scream because she screams twice. It's like this first scream and then they show it from a different angle of just her doing the exact same scream. It's just like what?
It's truly ridiculous. I would back then I would have given it a 0 There was nothing. It was no leaning towards a 1. It was a straight up 0. But now I would give it like a 1.5, maybe a 2 if I was extra stoned. But like I could at least laugh at it now and like find some humor and some good qualities in it. Like I said, that diamond fight scene was hot.
The diamond fight was hot. Like that is truly the highlight of the movie.
Was giving
like,
it, yes.
If there's nothing else, like we could take everything away from this movie, but I will not take that. I will give it
no.
that.
She's got that one for sure.
And like the dialogue was hot. She was like, "Ooh, what's going perfect?" And then she like
she was tapping into her like what's my home Eartha Kitt. I was like, oh, I'm feeling it.
And feeling it, and then she gives you a meow while she's fighting. It's like this is Catwoman. Like this is what I came to see. This is it. This is.
That's what I hope the rest of the movie could have been. Just they should have just did that for the rest of the movie, but they chose not to. You know, could have even given her a final level up costume at the end. I guess that's where superhero movies are now.
Yeah. You're thinking.
Did you know this was supposed to be the thing that kind of like jump started the DC universe? It was between this and Green Lantern. But they both flopped. And there was going to be a Justice League movie, I think, also with like Common was going to be Green Lantern.
I do remember that because I think like Tom Cruise. I mean, not Tom Cruise. Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Was going to be it.
It was Superman.
Yeah,
but they scrapped all that. What a time.
Sounds like it was for the best. Somebody, whoever was in charge at that time, really did not seem to have the best vision.
No.
I mean, they still don't, but
they still kind of don't. But we'll hopefully get better. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Please make sure you rate and subscribe us wherever you get your podcasts. We really appreciate all the love. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can email us any questions or stuff you want to talk about at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me on most social media platforms at UncannyLZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lights, and there's an underscore at the end.
Boom. All right, y'all, let's get up out here and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.